How's it going, guys? This is Eric with Deranged Survival. I'm out here today with that thing and Cow licking herself because she's all wet, and we're basically scouting out an area. We're trying to find some tinder. I just found some birch bark on a tree, and I'll show you guys a quick glimpse of that. And I'm basically looking for cedarwood trees, and I'll show you guys how to identify a cedarwood tree from a distance. So I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with the traditional pine tree. As you can see, it's got the pine needles, and this one's American white pine, and the reason I can tell that is because the needles have 5 little needles on the end there. That makes it an American white pine. There's a couple different types of pine trees, but this one's native to my area, and that's a traditional pine tree. But what I'm looking for is a cedarwood tree. And as you can see, the dark green color and the leaves there, and it's a little bit different than a pine tree. And when you get close up to the bark, the reason I'm looking for this tree is because of the bark here. Usually you can see a purple coloration. Usually if you break a stick off, you'll see purple on the inside. But look at this bark here. It's very fibrous, very easy to peel off. A lot of people use this to make cordage. I'm going to use it to basically get my fire going today. So I'm basically going to strip off the fibers of this bark here, collect a whole bunch because it is raining, everything's soaking wet. So I'm going to collect a bunch of this and find a place, nice dry spot to get a fire going. And I'm out here with little Zach today, and I'm just showing you guys how to ID some certain trees, and the cedarwood tree is great for starting a fire. So I've got a little bit here, going to collect a lot more, probably 10 times the amount of this, and I'm going to head to a spot, build a little shelter, and get a fire going in the rain. Or at least try to. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you an easy way to identify the cedarwood tree. I showed you a little bit before, but I'm going to show you the difference right here in front of me here. So off to the side, let's see if you guys can identify it. Sorry for the water droplets on the screen there. But as you can see, right here, all this is lighter color green, and this one's a darker color green. That's the cedarwood tree. It's very distinctive, and it doesn't have the pine needles like the pine tree does. So it's very easy to distinct it, especially in the winter or after fall. And it's a great tree for. It's a great resource to have. It's a softwood, so you can use it for a bow drill fire. Use it for the board, not the spindle. The spindle, you want it to be a hardwood. But it's great for scraping the bark down and making tinder. So we're going to go find a spot now, because it's starting to rain again. We got to go! Cows are shivering. We got to warm her up. Oh, we got that rain cover for Cow. Alright guys, so I put a quick shelter together, and I just used 2 pieces of rope, a tarp, and some sticks, and let me show you guys what I made. So this is the shelter here. Got it tied off to a tree there, and a tree in this direction. Tree right there. It's actually small branches, and another small branch over there. And I just have it harnessed up in the air. We have a good working space underneath where we can start a fire. This is basically to just get us out of the rain, and we can collect material and keep it dry. And basically what I did is I took a stick and I split it down the middle, as you can see there, and it's best to use places where there's knots, so the stick is, so it'll stay firm. And basically I just folded the tarp over the rope and pinched it down like a clothespin, and that's it. Did it on all 4 sides, and as you can see, this isn't that taut, but it's nice and flexible, so if it starts to rain on it, the rain will just drip off and it won't cave in. I want it nice and flexible so the tension doesn't pull off these clothespins, because it's not a very sturdy shelter, but it's something quick and easy to put together if you need to stay in a dry area. So we're going to collect some materials, clear out this area down here, and get a fire going. Alright guys, so it's raining out today, and we're basically going to try to start a fire. It's been raining all morning, and I basically got I had a pine stick, and I broke it up into small little pieces and made a nice little fire bed there. I got a bunch of small pine branches there, and I got some cedarwood bark right over there. And I'm going to show you guys how I like to set up a fire, and we're going to give it a try with a ferro rod. So the first thing I like to do is make a platform here. As you can see here, I just broke up some sticks here and laid it on the ground. This way I'm going to start my fire on this as opposed to the damp ground. The damp wet ground, sorry. And what I like to do is I like to place 2 sticks facing this direction and another one to brace it up. And then I'm going to place all my sticks on top of this. So then once I get my tinder started, I'm going to place these sticks on this direction here. And as you can see, there's a lot of space in between there for oxygen to breathe and to get the fire started. So let me go pull out my materials and get this going. Alright, so what we're going to be using today is a ferro rod, and this is a Light My Fire striker. I like it because it has a whistle as well. So just a regular ferro rod. Got some sparks we're going to process. This is cedar wood bark here, and this is birch bark here. I'm going to process this down really fine. The reason I have this cotton bandana here is because I'm going to use it to collect all my materials as I process it down. You don't want to lose any dust or any materials. You want to use it all and make sure it's very effective. And this is my kindling here. I have a lot of kindling. This kindling is pretty wet, but I'm going to do my best to make it work. Alright. So first thing, processing tinder. This is cedar wood bark, as I said. You just want to break it up the best you can, bring out the fibrous materials, and as you can see there's a lot of dust and stuff coming off of it. That's very good. Now this is kind of damp, but I'm going to do my best to make this work. So my rule of thumb is, when you think you're done, do it twice as much. I'd rather over-process it than not process it enough. Now I got some birch bark. This birch bark is soaking wet, but I'm still going to use it. Again, just kind of grind it up the best you can. And you can even rub it in between your hands. Your hands are going to create friction. It will dry it off a little bit, which will help. And you're basically just trying to break it up and tear it apart and make it very fibrous. Now this is all damp, but I heard that birch bark works when it's damp, so we're going to give it a try here. So I'm going to place it on my sticks here, my little platform. Now see all this fibrous material? That's the reason I put the bandana down. I'm going to collect all this. This is very light, fluffy, and it'll catch a spark fairly easily. You put that right on top. And then I'm going to keep all this material ready at hand's reach. So what I like to do is place the ferro rod in there and then strike down. Good rule of thumb, after about 3-4 tries, if you can't get it lit, you got to process it more down. I'll process it down more. So again, just break it up. Nice and fluffy and with a lot of airflow. You don't want it compacted. Alright, let's give that a try. There you go. Alright, you want to be very patient when this happens. So as you can see, it can go out pretty easily. So I noticed the birch bark lit, so I'm going to use more birch bark. I'm going to take a little bit in my hands, crinkle it up. I can feel it getting hotter in my hands and hopefully drying out. That's the goal. I got a little bit there. So my camera battery just died as I was striking, and one thing I always do is I always carry tinder with me at all times. This stuff I didn't collect today, but this stuff is a lot drier than what I'm using right now, so I'm going to use some of this, and I encourage everybody to carry their own tinder. Just bring a small little bag. You can use a Ziploc bag. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but I have cedar wood bark and birch bark in here because those are my favorite 2 tinders, so I'm going to use this to get this fire started. Okay, now once you get it lit, you want to slowly add material to it. This pine is all wet, so I'm literally adding one stick at a time. And that birch bark is going to burn out fast. I got a couple sticks lit. A couple more on. See how it's smothering right now? So you see how it's all smoking up right now? Now watch this. By simply bracing it up, you're allowing more oxygen to get to the fire. So now the sticks are lit. You can slowly add more. You feel the fire is being smothered, brace it up even higher. Get some more oxygen in there. There it goes. So I basically cleared out the cedar wood bark that was in the back. It was clogging the fire. Now you can see the fire is coming out of all directions. Main thing with maintaining a stable fire is you want to concentrate on the oxygen flow. If you see it smoking up a lot, try to brace the fire up more. Now I'm going to place all these sticks on top. Now I know it has a good oxygen flow, so it should maintain. So see, now I know the fire has a good oxygen flow. As you can see, it's a steady flame on the bottom. Now I added the rest of my damp materials and a couple of larger sticks on top, and this fire should go no problem. I'm protected from the rain from up above with a little shelter, and I got a little fire going. So cedar wood bark, in my opinion, isn't that great to use if it's damp. If it's dry, it works great. But this material basically made the fire smoke up and clog it and stop the oxygen flow, so I wouldn't recommend using cedar wood bark in damp conditions. So we got the fire going there, now it's going no problem. Cow's a little cold, smoke's going in his eyes. Sorry, cow. But we just wanted to demonstrate on how to set a fire. Basically, you want to get in a driest condition as possible. Make sure your fire is braced up so oxygen can reach all the way around, and you should have a nice fire. As you can see, there's no smoke anymore. Now watch what happens if I put a little bit of this cedar wood bark. It starts to smolder and smoke. So that was the main problem why it was smoking. It was smothering the fire. The cedar wood's too damp. So with a good oxygen flow, you should have no problem starting a fire. Nice and toasty.
My hands are so cold.
So that's our little setup there. I got 2 pieces of rope, a tarp, and 4 sticks made into clothespins. And made a nice little shelter. I got a fire going below it. Warm up. I was going to cook a steak, but I forgot to buy one.
Cook invisible steak.
So we got a nice, looks like a nice bed of coals building up over there. Pine's going to burn really fast. You don't want to use it if you want the fire to last a long time, but it's great to start the fire. And this tree right here, this is the bark here, and as you can see, it's got red striations going up. That's red oak. Red oak is very easy to distinguish from the leaf. As you can see, this is the leaf here, and as you can see, it's got pointy edges. And this is what the leaf looks like. That's a red oak leaf. And they actually drop acorns, of course. And this is a red oak. This is a hardwood, so if you wanted the fire to last a little longer, I would break some of these branches off and use that on the fire. And that's going to burn a lot longer as opposed to the pine that I just used. So the camera's got some water droplets on it, but we're ready to pack up. It's cold, we're wet. I want to go home. And that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the views, comments, and support. Don't forget to subscribe. Then I'll catch you on the next one. Yeah!
Yeah! Yeah!